Welcome to Sisters Inc., our podcast for and about women entrepreneurs, brought to you by Black Enterprise. I'm your host, Alisa Gumbs. Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the country. And on every episode of Sisters Inc., we'll sit down with one successful CEO and share how she slays the challenges of being a Black woman in business. Today's episode is all about making an impact. We're chatting with Skeete Tatum, the co-founder and CEO of Landit, a career platform built to increase the success of women and people of color in the workplace. Welcome to Sisters Inc., Lisa, and thanks so much for sitting down with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I know that Landit was the response to a personal pain point for you. What was going on in your life at the time that the idea for the company came to you?
Absolutely. So I was at an inflection point where after over a decade as a venture capitalist, the thing that I thought I'd worked for all my life, I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. Everyone expected me to know. It felt pretty horrible because we know there's a social cost to walking around saying, I need a little bit of help or I don't have it all figured out. And so we suffer in silence. And about that time, I was accepted as a Henry Crown Fellow at the Aspen Institute. You have to have a project you think is going to change the world. And I realized my project was me. If I could address that massive problem of wanting to achieve success on your own terms and not knowing how, then I would have impact. Because so many of us are not bringing the full measure of our talent to the workplace. Not because we're not talented, not because we're not motivated, but because we may not know the know-how or have the know-how or the access. And I could do something about that.
It's something that we talk about a lot at our Women of Power Summit is getting unstuck. And it was like you were having this moment of transition in your career, but how do you figure out where you want to go from here?
That's exactly right. And in a way that's personalized, right? Because your struggle may not be my struggle, even though we have commonalities. And so you have to meet people where they are. And I am a technologist. I do geek out on technology. And I'm like, that's the leveling field. That you could literally give everyone a shot at success and do it in a way that was personalized and also safe and trusted.
So there are other companies out there, of course, that are for career development, and there are even some that specialize in women or in diversity. What was it that you saw that was missing in the marketplace that made you think, I need to add something else to it because I'm trying to accomplish something different?
Absolutely. So there were a couple of things. One is we believe we're in the era of self-service careers, where organizations say we're not responsible for your career, you are, but we've forgotten to give people the tools in which to do it. That's the first thing. The second thing is portability, because no one stays in one position all their lives anymore. Those days are over.
They're gone.
And so you could be in one position and get lots of love and lots of snacks, and then you move to the next one, and then you're not the anointed one, and then you're stuck and you're derailed. But if it only took one feature, like just coaching or just building your brand or just taking a course, then we wouldn't have the largest number of professional, educated women and people of color not firing on all cylinders, but they want to be. It is the knitting together of that, and it is the pathing forward. If you think about your career, it's like everyone wants career success, but it feels very heavy. It's like you're boiling the ocean. So we said, you know what? We're going to break it down into bite-sized steps, one step at a time based on where you are, and we're going to give you the access, what you need when you need it. So that's what's missing for the individual, but we realize companies are just as lost. Most companies or organizations, they want to do something, but they don't have the ability to because the system's broken. You can get lots of love when you first enter a company, orientation, etc. In the middle, it's uneven at best. And if you make it to the top of the pyramid, that's when you get the investment. So we said, you know what, we're going to turn that on its head. We're going to take everything you would get if you're in the C-suite and give it to everyone, regardless of their gender, their race, their color, their location. And we see the results pretty quickly, actually. Great things happen when you give people what they need to succeed.
So for people who aren't familiar with Landit, explain exactly how the platform works. Because I know when it first started, people called it the LinkedIn for women.
I know. I take their valuation.
You'll take the valuation, but you're so much more than, the LinkedIn for women. So how exactly does the platform work?
So our I'd say our secret sauce is this notion of personalization, this pathing forward. So you would go on, you'd create an account, and then all of a sudden a path will unveil itself, almost as if you had your own virtual concierge. So our view is you get your own house in order with your personal brand and things of that sort. You then get your squad in order, so access, for instance, to amazing certified coaches. It wasn't until, let's just say I was very senior in my career, that I realized everyone I admired had a coach. And I'm like, well, God dang it, how do I get one of those? And who are the good ones?
Why don't I have one already,
Exactly
right?
Because it can accelerate your time to goal. So you have that on demand. And then people like to say, okay, I need a mentor. Well, mentors are great, but they're not going to solve what ails us in the workplace. So we allow you to populate 5 different seats. Your mentor, your sponsor, your connector, your point expert, and your close friend, because everybody's got to be able to do the ugly cry with the whole snot and everything, because you can't tell everything to everybody. And then learning, right? So content is a commodity. What makes it actionable is if I know you are in marketing, then I'm only going to show you things for you. So think about, as you tell us stuff, we're going to craft a path for you, and we're going to give you the access and the humans to move you forward. And that's what we see. Increased mobility, retention, promotion, satisfaction, all those things that happen when you unlock potential. But it's yours and only yours. And no one else has your information or your data.
And when you call it personalization, I know your tagline is like one size fits one. The technology allows you to personalize it to each person.
That's exactly right. And it's at scale. And I think that's why we're so successful with companies, because they know they need to do these tailored plans, and the only way you can do that is with technology. So now they give us the email, and they can target whomever they want globally. We're in 37 countries with our partners around the globe, and it works.
Well, we're going to take a quick break right now while we adjust our crowns, and we'll be right back.
There's nobody like you and like us collectively.
Welcome back to Sisters Inc. We're chatting with Lisa Skeete Tatum of Landit. So I really think of Landit as a mission-driven company because I know that on an individual level, you want to help women and people of color thrive in the workplace. But I also feel like you're tackling some really major issues, some macro things like pay equity. I mean, when you get everyone involved, firing on all cylinders, as you say, then we can get closer to, making sure that everyone is equally paid. So what impact do you guys want to have, both sort of micro and macro?
There is no question we're mission-driven. And in fact, I think of any entrepreneur, I don't know anyone who wakes up and says, I want to be an entrepreneur. One, because it's just too hard. So you have to have a true north. And ours is democratizing career success. That's our mission. Anyone who joins our firm knows that's what we're doing. And we'd like to say we're going for world domination, right? Because
you should be.
That's exactly right. So it's important to us. But I also know that you have to have a scalable business model, and what gets measured gets done. So from the beginning, by design, we said we have to be able to measure success and impact. Otherwise, we'll just go the way, so many well-intended companies do. So we measure it really in 2 ways. So we look at, are people actually using it? What's the engagement? We can tell, for instance, and this actually particularly impacts women and people of color, when people add someone to their board, how many people have a sponsor? Because we know the sponsor will directly correlate to, do they feel heard, and are they progressing? We look at things like retention. I have a consumer products background, so we look at Net Promoter Score. We know that on average, across all of our companies, all of the countries we're in, 73% of most workers are actively disengaged or detractors. So every point that you can move Whether it is more positive or an engagement will result in better career satisfaction. And then we have what I call the qual metrics. What do people tell us? So we find that the individuals are able to go from what they thought was impossible to actually realizing their dreams. And we know that for companies, they also can measure. We have one company, a very tech-savvy company, and they looked at landed population vis-a-vis the other 10,000 employees on the things that were important to them. Will I go above and beyond if it's not in my job description? Do I now feel empowered? And we, by tenfold, are off the scale when it comes to measuring the overall population and Landit. So you have to prove the ROI, and yes, it's the right thing to do, but you also have to make the business case.
Speaking of, your business model is both B2C, as you were talking, you work directly with individuals, and B2B because you have companies as your clients. And you spoke about some of, the individual things that you're measuring. What kind of overall impact do you hope that Landit has on corporate America or on the workplace in general, because you're not just here in this country?
That's exactly right. So this is probably one of the few companies where everyone's incentives are aligned. Because if individuals are thriving and hitting on all cylinders, then companies will thrive. And we know, as I said, individuals may be stuck, companies are just as stuck. So my mission and everyone at Landit is not only will we democratize career success, we will democratize access. And you'll be able to see and measure that, and the diversity and the inclusion and the makeup of organizations, of boards, of leaders, because no one has a lock on talent. No one has a lock on talent. So how do you expand that around the globe? So I have small goals.
Small goals.
World domination.
World domination. You just want to
Taking
impact
over.
the entire workplace in the entire world.
Exactly. And people will feel better about themselves, right? When you know that you have a dream and you have a shot at making it. It's a beautiful thing. How lucky am I that that's what I do for my day and evening job? Yeah.
An entrepreneur's work is never done, right?
Exactly right.
Well,
Exactly
thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your small business success story.
Thank you.
Everyone out there, please check out Landit at landit.com and follow on social media at @Landit.
Thank you very much.
Check out the podcast channel on blackenterprise.com to find Sisters Inc. and other podcasts from Black Enterprise editors, writers, and experts. Be sure to subscribe to Sisters Inc. on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you like what you hear, show your love by leaving us a 5-star review and put a sister on by spreading the word. This is Alisa Gumbs with Sisters Inc. for Black Enterprise. Thank you for listening.